See, when you see that light, that is a spirit, and they are manifesting themselves.
Yes.
And the way they're doing that is just to show you, see, we're all light. We're all conceived of light, which is love, but it shows up on the camera. That's what you see, a ball of light.
Yes.
Now, you were recently working on 2 cases, one in northern New Jersey and the other was in Bloomingdale's. What have you been finding in your investigations? I'd like to hear about that.
Well,
you know, you have a lot of equipment and
Sure,
stuff.
I'll show those in a moment.
Sure.
Part of our research, we were called in on 2 different occasions, 2 different families, 2 different towns in northern New Jersey, where they were experiencing activity in their homes. They would hear footsteps, hear voices, the front door would open and close on its own.
Isn't that eerie?
And sightings of...
Sure the house wasn't rigged.
Well, we test for that when we go in.
I know
but
you
yes.
do. You have to.
The one house, there were 2 homes in Bloomingdale on the same street encountering similar activity. There were sightings of a young boy and an older man, both dressed similarly in what looked like old-fashioned sleeping gowns.
Now, when you say sightings, did someone actually see, like, who sighted these spirits? What did they see when they saw them? How did you get this description?
In one home, the homeowner herself was in bed, and she looked up one night, and in her doorway was standing a man looking at her in a long white gown. The gown was very reminiscent of a sleeping gown from the 1800s. Her son had also seen a young boy in his room and would interact with the young boy dressed very similarly, which is leading us to suspect that back in 1895 in that area, there was a fire that devastated that area of Bloomingdale. And it leads us to suspect that possibly if it came through the night, there used to be farmland in that area.
Yes.
And we feel that maybe somebody perished in the fire at night in their sleeping gowns.
What's the address of the house that you're talking about now?
I don't have the address.
I just wanted to...
The clients, I'm careful to...
yeah, that's all right. I'm just going to say, is there a red barn anywhere near the house? A red barn?
No, the homes, it's a residential neighborhood, but all the houses were built in 1912. The fire went through the farmland areas in 1895.
So if there was a red barn there, you wouldn't know it?
No, it's gone. Okay.
Now, you brought quite an array of interesting equipment.
Yes.
And what would you like to demonstrate and how are they used in your investigation? And maybe you could bring them out and show our viewers what it's all about.
Sure.
Okay.
This is one of our primary tools that we use during our investigations. This is called an EMF meter, electromagnetic field meter.
Okay.
Now, electricians and engineers usually use these meters to measure electromagnetic fields, both natural and man-made. Refrigerators, appliances will all throw off an electromagnetic field. The earth itself, depending on the ground, the ores, crystals in the ground will sometimes throw off a very low electromagnetic field. But in paranormal research, we found that some spiritual activity can be measured in electromagnetic field in milligauss.
Yeah, it's really an interesting thing.
Now what you're seeing there is a base reading of 0.1 to 0.3, and that's a natural reading in this room with the electric lights, but there's not much of an electromagnetic field. In our research, everything from a 1.0 up to an 8.0 would signify possible paranormal activity. Man-made objects tend to be a lot higher, up in the 30s and 40 milligauss range.
Now, how does this work? Like I put it near the paper, and I got a 0.14, and I put it over here.
Well, what you do is you should hold it so you can watch it. May I demonstrate for you?
Oh, sure, please.
We would usually go through a room.
Now, let's say I call you. Mark, help, my house is haunted, I hear noises, I hear creaking. things get thrown around the room. I'm going crazy. I can't sleep at night. You know, something's pulling my blankets off, whatever. Help, help, help. What do you do?
First thing we do is go into the home and we interview all of the residents.
To make sure they're not nuts.
Well, we get their stories. We go in, we give them the benefit of the doubt. We get their stories.
Right.
We come back with our equipment, we set up with our investigation.
Okay.
And we'll go through the house, and the first thing we'll do is we'll measure everything from the temperature to electromagnetic field, and if they say that a door has been opening on its own, we'll test that door.
Now,
is it easy to open?
Now, if you get like heat around that door, is that telling you that there's a spirit there?
Not necessarily. If we can find, sometimes we'll use this device and we'll suddenly get high readings that we can't explain, but when we do more research, we find that there's old unshielded wiring going through the wall that's throwing off high EMF. But occasionally we could be in a room, like I'm holding this right now, it's very low, and then for no reason at all, the numbers start to climb. And when they climb for that reason, and I'm not moving it near any devices, that's indicating that there's a possible paranormal presence nearby.
Now, there's nothing happening on that spot. It's just staying at one.
Yes.
But you want to try a different spot?
Well, I'm not sure we would catch anything around here because there's, again, unless you've had activity in this studio.
Oh, we have.
Okay.
We have.
Most of the areas in here are fairly flat. So there's not much in the way of electromagnetic fields here.
Well, we've had people take photographs of the room, and they've seen spirits, like they had the white mist around the people. But that's interesting. So as far as you're concerned, there's no ghosts in this room.
Well, there's no ghosts around us at the moment, and we're not quick to jump to conclusions on a single investigation. We'll go in. If we don't find anything, we're honest with the clients. We don't find anything. But if they would like us to come back another time, we will.
What do you charge for this?
Nothing. Not a dime.
Not a dime. Who pays for the time and the travel? And
we do. It's out of our own pockets.
Really?
We all have our day jobs. We do this to help other people.
Really?
Again, not be afraid, come to an understanding in their home. At the same time, you know, furthering paranormal research, because it's not really in the mainstream yet. It's mostly...
no, not at all. It's still considered very crazy. So what else do you have? You have a lot of stuff.
We have, this is a point-and-shoot thermometer.
Don't shoot this at me.
It just registers, if I point it like this, it registers the temperature across the room there. And right now, yeah, we're looking at 68 degrees. But I would use this to point around the room and measure temperatures. And we go in and we do a baseline test. And then later in the evening, if we're testing and the temperature suddenly drops for no reason or goes higher for no reason, that indicates that possible paranormal activity is taking place. One of our other most trusted pieces of equipment is a digital audio recorder.
Oh.
Now this is my personal favorite. This is an Olympus DS30. This records in stereo. It's crystal clear sound. A lot of the older recorders have a very staticky, muffled. But
do you have anything on there that you could play for us where you heard a spirit speaking?
Not on this recorder, but I did bring with me various sound clips of the EVPs that we've captured during our investigation.
Now, are we going to talk about that on the other show? Because I know we're going to be continuing.
Yes, I'm not sure which segment we'll be talking about that on.
So then you'll tell us later.
We would use this to record in a room and to get what we refer to as EVP, electronic voice phenomenon.
Wow.
Now that is voices or other audio phenomenon that wasn't heard at the time it was recorded, but when we play the recording back, the voices are on the recording. What
was the most remarkable recording that you've ever had up to date? Like the most unbelievable that came
There are quite a few that we've captured in our investigations.
What would that be like, for example?
One of the more incredible ones, we were investigating an old farmhouse from 1850 that a homeowner was restoring. And as we were walking through the building, sure, as we were walking through and doing our investigation, he was giving us a tour. We were in one room talking, and later when we played back our recording, we heard what sounded like a baby crying,
A baby crying.
fussing, like a fussing in a crib, and then a woman's voice chimes in and says, "Be still," as if calming the baby.